I'm Jonas from Scenewood. We're still at Gamescom 2022, and now we're here with Surprise Turtle Studios, Seven Dwarfs, Legends Untold. Would you like to introduce yourself and give us a short rundown about the game?
Hi, yeah, absolutely. So I'm Carl from Surprise Turtle Studios. We're a small indie game studio in Zurich, Switzerland. Our game, Seven Dwarfs, Legends Untold, is inspired by the Snow White's fairy tale. Essentially, it's a co-op action roguelike. So players play as the Seven Dwarfs and fight alongside Snow White to defeat the evil of the lands. And there's upgrades throughout the game. The characters develop. We've got 7 completely unique characters with completely different attacks and skills. And there should be something for everyone in this game.
Perfect. Let's get a bit more in depth on the Seven Dwarfs, on the classes you have in the game. I've played as an archer and as a healer so far when I got to try your game. Would you like to introduce the other classes as well?
Absolutely. So like I said, we have 7 completely unique dwarfs. We have, for example, a katana dwarf. He's all about connecting movements with attacks. So he has like nice combo moves where he can chain his attacks. We have a dreamy dwarf. He has this powerful shadow monster, and when he goes to sleep, it awakens and can like grab enemies and throw them, do a bit of crowd control, but also attack enemies from the air, things like this. We have a monk who can leech on enemies' life force, and then he can use this to strengthen his own attacks, or he can use it to protect his friends. Who else do we have? We have the medic that you mentioned. He's basically a tinkerer in the game. He can manipulate the environment. He can throw these potions that set things on fire, create bouncy surfaces, things like this. And he can also revive characters. We've got a wizard. The wizard, he basically casts lightning spells and things like this. He has like an airstrike lightning attack. Who am I missing? The monk. I think, is that all of them? The archer? I didn't mention. Yeah, you played the archer. He has a series of archer moves, like an arrow shower, penetrating arrows. Things like this.
Okay, perfect. You mentioned
there's also Thor. I finally, of course, we have Thor, who is a heavy tank type character. So he's quite slow, but has a lot of life and can sort of do heavy hits on enemies. Yeah, those are the 7 dwarves.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So you've mentioned the Dreamy Dwarf, which has a shadow monster that he summons. Is the player controlling that shadow monster when he goes to sleep?
Exactly. So when he falls asleep, you take over the shadow monster and you can control the shadow monster. The key is that Dreamy is still vulnerable. So he's asleep and can't defend himself. So you need to watch out for him, either with yourself, with the shadow monster, which is also why he's able to, throw enemies away. And so to kind of also protect his true ego. Or maybe you can, cooperate with your fellow team members, and they can watch out a bit for Dreamy while you go off fighting enemies. So that's how that works.
Okay, sounds interesting. We've talked about, or you've mentioned upgrades that Snow White presents to the dwarves between the chambers that you play in.
Yeah.
Would you like to go into a bit more detail on the upgrades? What they would look like? How they will influence the game?
Absolutely. So upgrades are really core parts of the game. We want the characters to really develop throughout the game. So in between levels, you always are given upgrades by Snow White. And these range from skill upgrades to weapons upgrades. There's also one-time use items that you can get. And basically Snow White will give you a choice of upgrades, and then the players must vote. There can be a bit of a discussion, maybe what you want, which dwarves to upgrade, what skills, what items you would like. And that's kind of the idea behind it.
So I've seen 4 dwarfs so far. So I think it's 4-player cooperative. So you're not getting the whole 7 dwarfs in one session.
No. So it's 7 dwarves or 7 dwarf characters, but up to 4 players. It's a local co-op game, so it's somewhat also a technical limitation by consoles. Yeah, the idea is also that you can actually change your character mid-game. So if you want to try to attack a challenge a little differently, you can switch into a completely different moveset and try that. And so yeah, in that sense, it's good that you have some spare reservists that you can use. Yeah.
Cool. You've mentioned the story or underlying story of the game. Would you like to introduce that story to the viewers?
Yeah, so I would definitely say like a story light game. So there is like an overarching theme, which is like this, yeah, fairy tale, but we're trying to make it much more about combat and less about a story-driven game. I think the strength of our game is the combat. It's what people have fun doing, so we don't want to exaggerate it or distract too much from that. But yeah, essentially you fight alongside Snow White to defeat the evil queen, which has corrupted the lands. In the final version, I mean, so in this early prototype, you see quite a bright color theme, but what we're actually going for for the final version is art that's also very dark and gritty, that really gives you a sense of the corruption and the evil that has spread through the lands. And as you fight throughout the game, the visuals will also begin to change and adapt, and you'll sort of slowly be fighting back against this evil and ultimately face off with the evil queen in the ultimate boss fight.
Okay, that sounds cool. Is there a release date planned yet, and what platforms are you going to release on?
Yeah, so we are targeting an early access around mid next year, and we'd like to have our final release towards the end of next year. Currently, we're planning on targeting PC and consoles, but you can find us on Steam. Please wishlist us on Steam if you like the game, and follow along for the release.
Perfect. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience about the game? Anything special that I might have missed that you want to point out?
I mean, we really set out to make a game that was explicitly designed for co-op. We like roguelike games. We love them. There's so many amazing roguelike games. And what we just always missed was the ability to share the experience with our friends. There's a few roguelike games and they're great, but we really wanted to create something that was built from the ground up for co-op. I mean, I, for myself, love to have friends over and we just sit around the Xbox and, order pizza and just game on co-op games. And that's kind of the experience we also want to bring to the roguelike genre. So if you like playing with your friends and you want to be able to share the experience together, then you should definitely check out our game.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, check out the game on Steam. I think we'll put the link into the video description. And yeah, thank you for your time and enjoy your last day at Gamescom.
Thank you very much, and I hope you liked playing the game and enjoy Gamescom as well. Yeah.
Yes, I did. Thank you.